celebrate Martin Luther King and just to be able to say, we appreciate the sacrifices of any of our great heroes. Um, but we have to remember not to we got to remember that um, in these days, uh, we're celebrating the life of Martin Luther King, and it's so important that we understand that our best days as a nation are not behind us. You know what I mean? Uh, this is one of the worst things that we could do, um, and it's to forget that this is a federal holiday. I always confuse it. I always say it's his birthday. It's not his birthday. I always every year I do this. Every year since I was a kid, I do this. This lets us know what kind of student I was. This is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but my point is that we've got to get to a point where uh, you know we don't keep looking to the past as our best years were behind us in this past, but our best years are forward. Our best years are now, and the decisions that we make, we got to take our power back. We cannot allow the government who doesn't know us, doesn't care about us, all they want to do is control us. That's it. The jobs, the businesses. We've got to get back to life and in understanding nature, appreciating life. We got to get back to balance. Got to get back to love. Got to get back to truth. Got to get back to some joy, peace. You know, uh, I mean, we already know that predators out there, bad people are out there, all that stuff. But why should they be able to stifle and shut down the voices of people who just want to live? Why do they get to enjoy that? Why do they get to enjoy the privilege of uh, you know hurting good people, and then we all have to bend our rules? I mean, we all have to bend for them. They get to destroy our ability to have peace. Why is it that the evil, they get to destroy our ability to have peace, but they can do whatever they want? How is that right? You know, some of the things that Martin Luther King has done and preached, in a certain sense, they moved us forward, and in another sense, it moved us backwards. I know that we like to show everything that he did. Everything was great, but Martin Luther King and Malcolm X together, I wish they had figured things out to get to understand that that there was another way. But I also want to show that when you talk about Martin Luther King, you talk about somebody that was political and spiritual. Okay, uh, the political and spiritual. That's something else I want you to consider. Why is it that just 50 years ago it was okay to talk about God and politics, and all of a sudden it's not anymore? You know, why is that? Why does that happen? All right, Martin Luther King, he fought for his people, fought for the rights of it. Can you imagine a time? And I know to a lot of white brothers and sisters out there, they can't even imagine being filled with hate to hate someone because of their skin color. I know that some for a lot of white people, you can't even imagine what it would be like to own a person and all types of stuff and treat people. But here's my thing. When I look at the strength of my predecessors, my grandfather, my father, my great grandfather, when I look at the strength of my predecessors, all right, they didn't go through everything they went through so I could sit here and be weak and whine about things not being fair when I have a million more opportunities than they do. Now, I understand some backhanded stuff can happen and shift and change, and these new laws being made and all types of. I get all that, but everything that happened, we have such an opportunity to take back control. Okay, we have such an opportunity to. This is the most united generation of all times. I ain't talking about the older generation. I'm talking about the younger generation. If we empower our young people and guide them towards God and unity and correction, we can fix this thing. But we can't be afraid to talk about the uncomfortable conversations. We can't be afraid to be honest. We can't be afraid to honestly tell people, hey, I know you love your excuses, but that's all they are, is excuses. I know, and I'm talking about everybody. This entire generation, this entire culture needs to be corrected right now. All of it. The church needs to be corrected. The nation needs to be corrected. The police departments, the black families, the white families, from the ground up, this entire nation needs to be corrected. Just like Jeremiah, God told him to tear the whole thing down. Now, I want to explain something to you, why you can't separate politics from religion, why you can't separate, truth from reality, and truth is abstract and all that. You can't do that. You can't separate that stuff. And I'm going to explain to you why. Because only God can construct the fabric of reality. Only God can knit the fabric of reality. We are recipients of the principles of God. We are the recipients of the fabric of reality. So we don't have any authority of how it was made. And so when God made us, he made us to love one another. He made us to have dominion. He gave us principles to live by. He gave us, as a matter of fact, he gave us all power. But when sin came in, we got fragmented. So now we have a fragmented interpretation of the fabric that only God can put together and call as reality as we know it. And so when people look for their little reasons to be superior over one another, or racist towards one another, or hate each other's genders, or dismissive with each other's realities, and neglectful with each other's pain, and when we choose these self-righteous reasons to forget that God carefully and wonderfully knitted reality together so that we could all share this wonderful life from generation to generation, getting closer and closer back to wholeness with God. I want to remind you that he corrects. He corrects. I know that we had the trend of the grace God and the wrath God and the prosperity God, but I want to remind everyone that God corrects. And this generation right now, more than ever, is needing to be corrected. I can tell you there's things that now, once I was able to step out of the I'm not going to say brainwashing. It's like Martin Luther King. I saw him as a hero because of the way he fought. Right. Not because of necessarily everything that he believed in, or everything he did I agreed. Because there were certain things like he had to figure out. And as he grew, I saw him battle with what he was expected to do with the people to what he had now learned. And the
bottom line is he was a good man.
Right. And see, and here's the thing, is so is Malcolm. So is Malcolm. They're two great men on the side of a very difficult coin. Well, actually, they were on the same side of the coin, to be totally honest with you. Just this is the issue. Two extremes. Now, I know that we like to say things like, the black Muslims, this and that, and Martin Luther King's a good guy because he was a Christian. But it's so interesting when I see that, because Malcolm X was more like, hey, we're not going to let someone just take. This is what I'm saying. I can see God in both clearly, because one is God saying, hey, Malcolm, he's saying, we're going to develop a community. We're going to develop a community. And it's like Martin's going, we're singing songs of We Shall Overcome. Well, one is talking about how, or what's going to happen. Martin saying we shall overcome. Malcolm saying how. America gets to be America because there's some warriors out there willing to go in the fight and make some stuff happen, willing to make a stand. America would not be functional right now if we just, during wartime, just sat back and prayed. It's not like if someone was to attack the American country right now, we're not going to just say, sit back and pray. So even though Martin Luther King had a peaceful protest, he was using the legal system that was available, saying that we could peacefully protest.
Right.
What Malcolm was doing, Malcolm was saying, hey, if you put your hands on me, you know what I mean? If you put your hands on me, I'm fighting back. I'm making a stand physically. Now then, you say, what about turn the other cheek? One, you only got two cheeks. Two, this is the truth of the matter. The truth too is when it comes to protecting our family and the development of our culture, we're not going to allow what happened back in slave days. We're never going to allow that to happen again. So there has to be a stand that's made. And because this is why this speech with Martin Luther King, I've been to the mountaintop, is so amazing. Because it's the place where order came in and law came in. The mountaintop is where Moses brought the 10 Commandments. The mountaintop was when it was after they were freed of Egypt. The mountaintop is the chaos. The mountaintop is the chaos. The mountaintop is also where the burning bush happened.
Right.
So I'm just saying, everybody, I want everybody to understand that right now is an opportunity for the will of God to really be displayed, but we got to take it seriously. And we got to be honest. Church is not taking it seriously. Church takes church seriously. Church wants to be successful. Church. I got so many people that call me Brother Duke and Pastor Duke and stuff like that, but it doesn't mean anything. Not anymore.
I don't think so.
No matter how much I love people, care for people, fight for people, I already have died in the military for people.
Right.
I give my kids, I give my ministry. No, nothing I can do can make people see how much God loves them. It's something that they have to be, no matter, if Christ can raise from the dead and people can't see how much, who am I? So for me, it's just about me. And when God judges me, he can say, you did your job. People didn't listen.
Well, I think that's what, of course, today there's many people that actually just don't believe that even happened.
What?
That he rose from the dead.
I don't know. So I know that because of Spooky Spiritual Church, it used to be real, like for back in the day, that was something that people constantly believed in. It was easier for them to believe back then. And what I'm saying is, we're in a generation now where we have to accept the fact that so many different ideas have slipped in. You know what I mean? And let me give this Slater Joel. So many people's ideas have slipped in and influence the culture and influence everything like this, and thrown people off. Now is the time for balanced, young, new voices, old voices, white voices, black voices. We just need to hear the voice of God. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's gonna come from love. It's gonna come from truth. It's gonna come from the spirit. It may sting. It may hurt. It may not be what we want it to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's gonna be authentic move of God. That's what I'm looking at, is that it's an authentic move of God. And I think that's all people really want. We're going to play some music for you guys. We're going to be right back. This is exciting. Here we go. Slater.
What up? What up? Can y'all hear me?
How's everything going?
Man, I'm good, man. Can y'all hear me? Y'all good with everything?
I hear you. Yep.
Nice.
So we are one, we wanted to say, the happy birthday to Martin Luther King, and just talk about kind of like the intensity of everything that happened back then. It's still, happening differently today, but I can't sit here and act like we haven't gotten progress. I just can't do it. Act like we haven't gotten progress. But I would like to ask you, about imagining the faith and intensity that you would have had to get through the civil rights movement, because the emotions were high.
Man, emotions were high. Anxiety was high.
Right.
Anger was high. We could go on a list of a whole rant on just the things that were high.
And just madness, yeah. I mean, and I think you see the worst of the best people come out. It was just a crazy time.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you something. A lot of people say things like, they sitting there singing songs. They should have been getting arms, getting guns, this and that. And I want to ask you, how powerful is music in moments like that?
Wow, what a great question. Music is literally one of the only things on this planet that transcends race, religion. It transcends cultures, everything. I can be as black as I want to be and still love me some salsa, some country music, some Latin music. I can, it's such a chameleon, but at the same time centered around something so deliberate. And it's one word that is centered around: love.
Yeah, but the reason why, because music was such a big part of the whole 60s scene. It's almost impossible for me to not see a blast of pictures and hear a blast of songs during the civil rights movement.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Now, I do want to ask, now, because I know you're a very wise man about how you speak about certain things. What happened to us? The music went from being so inspiring and good, and then I know the church is still doing what we do in the church, but it went from being so positive and inspiring, unifying, and then next thing you know, we're dropping it like it's hot. And,
I'm gonna say one thing that actually I hear what you're saying, but I'm gonna have to tell you a real truth. It was bad back then. They were just more discreet about it.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Hello, the Beatles, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Yep.
That song is about LSD. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it was bad back then too. I just think we're living in a culture now that just ain't scared to be as ratchet and upfront about it as possible.
Because the ratchetness was in private,
And that's the thing. I think it was just a bigger level of respect for yourself. Even back then, like, man, you ain't cussing in front of no adults, man. Go to one of these high school football games right now. You'll be sitting beside like 5, 15-year-olds, and they just
You
It's
get
called-
jumped.
Yeah.
If you say something to him, you get jumped.
Yeah. All I'm asking you to do is, bro, don't talk like that around my nephew, and now I gotta fight you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I think it's a respect thing, and I think it's just the way of the world, man.
You know what
It's
I
the
think
culture.
happened, man? Honestly, I think that, and that's why I said I know you're very wise when you say stuff. Here's what I think. I think each generation saw the phoniness of the generation before,
And they're doing their
Said,
best to overcompensate not to be that.
Exactly. They don't overcompensate. Like, I'm not going to listen to my Red Fox albums in the basement. I'm bringing the Red Fox albums to the top. You know what I mean? And I think that's what kind of happened, especially in the black community, because, black people for a very long time were known for just loving God. You see what I mean?
Yep.
Like that was the whole thing. They were known for just loving God. Like, and so you would think then when you get deeper into the black culture, you find out the whole time we were still loving Red Fox, Marvin Gaye, all that.
Yo, that's the funny part. I think when you realize how many people you thought didn't do nothing wrong, it's like, and I'm not saying that's wrong. I think that's the problem with our culture too. We call a lot of stuff wrong, where even Ecclesiastes just tells us it's a time and a place for everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just think it's a time and a place for stuff. I don't think stuff like that is necessarily wrong.
Well, that's because I think religion was already presented in a box, and God was never for religion. He was always doing life. You know what I mean? Oh, I love it. I love it. God was always doing life. So as soon as you do religion, whatever comes out, it's going to be off because it's only one fragment of life. You know what I mean? And so I think that's what happens. Now it's like, remember, it was like basketball is the devil, TV's the devil.
Can't go to the movies, can't wear a short skirt, can't wear jeans.
Everything's the devil. Let's see this. I believe this is Chanel says MLK should be forgotten about. He should have been fighting for black people to remain segregated, maintain our own communities. And he said people back then cursed for in front of adults. People are romanticizing the passy please. Okay, well, the first of all, you know what? To me, what is it? Hindsight 2020. When you're in the moment, I'm not going to deny the progression that Martin Luther King really brought us to. He brought a lot of progression, a lot of dynamics, a lot of conversation. Maybe he didn't do everything right, but a lot of the conversation that needed to be happening, I got to give the man kudos for at least pointing us in the right direction.
Yeah, he definitely pointed us in the right direction. And I would have to go further in that comment. Number one, everybody is entitled to their opinion. So I'm really not in the debating business. So you are definitely entitled to that opinion, and I respect that opinion. I don't think that's what needed to happen, though. I just think we needed to be further educated on how to advance as a people. I think we were thrown out here with very limited information.
I think what it is that a lot of people are frustrated because they're finding out that we had the information at one point, and then when they burned down the cities and took down Black Wall Street and everything, it became a situation of what's the point. So you're talking about cultural deflation when we were no longer interested in education anymore because it was like, okay, we just gonna have to survive. They're never gonna let us live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's what happens. I think when I see comments like that, I think there's somebody who's experienced and seen that part of the reality.
And I have too, but hear me clearly. I have too. I just think as a person and as a people, sometimes we can focus on the trauma more than the triumph.
See, I was actually going to say that to you about how that probably has to be a hard comment for you to accept because that overcoming spirit.
You already know. If I told my story, I'm not taking no for an answer. I'm sorry. So I guess for me, I'll take it on the chin, and my friends will tell you. I got friends who'll tell you, I be hurt about a lot of stuff. Yeah. I won't talk for weeks behind something I'm hurt behind.
Yeah, I've seen.
But once I come out of it, man, I'm getting back to business.
And when I say you get back to business, you get back to business. You actually go and share the revelation that you got out of it.
Yeah.
You know, like I've seen you say several times, you know, from personal challenges, everything, you put it out there, and I love the fact that you're not willing to go through something for nothing. Like you, like,
Absolutely.
we will at least get a revelation out of it.
Yeah.
You know,
and what made Martin Luther King so revolutionary is the same way people didn't support him back then. Bro, there's something inside of you that has to answer your why. Because if you don't have something inside of you that answers your why, you'll listen to stuff like that and stop the purpose that God put you on the planet for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, again, everybody's entitled to their opinion. There were people who thought like that back then.
Back then, yeah. And there's always a reason. Because I was just telling Crystal before, I said, you know, part of the situation, when we deal with the ugliness of what really happened back then, it's half insanity, and half complete fear. And when you mix them two together, you get insane fear. The birth of it is insane fear. And insane fear is like, you don't know what you're going to do.
Yo,
you know?
and it's crazy you say that because that's why I tell people Bane is one of my favorite people in the Dark Knight trilogy. I'm just telling, yo, Bane, Joker was crazy.
I can preach it.
But Bane said some stuff that made you like, hold up. Like I don't like what you doing, but I see where you coming from, bro.
Yeah.
He literally told Batman, and he said, you befriended the dark. He said, I was born in it. Good gracious.
On every level. On every level.
So this is somebody who, man, darkness wasn't something he learned. Darkness was who he was. Like that's
when you say Bane, as soon as you said Bane, I immediately started thinking about like the John the Baptist, the Pauls, the Elijahs, and the reason why is because they were walking with God on such an intense. Like, okay, watch this. You know, a lot of people ask me, like, Duke, how can we trust the teachings of Moses if God didn't allow him into the promised land because of his own, you know, errors, right? And I'm like, listen to me. You're talking about the guy who saw him, the pillar of fire, who threw the rod down. You're talking about the guy that actually went there and did all of this stuff and stood before Pharaoh without even knowing the name of the God he was coming in. Like, whose name do I say? Yeah. And I'm looking up and I'm like, how arrogant have we become?
Yeah.
You know, we're on the receiving end of all of this life goodness from spirituality, political, all of that. We're on the other end, and we look back at the past with these judgmental eyes as if we've done anything other than receive the benefits from their efforts.
Yeah.
It's the only reality we've known is built off the blood sacrifice, tears, sweat, pain of our predecessors.
Yeah. And it's crazy because when I think about everything you just said and just kind of tying it back into why I brought up Bane, what scares me is though he makes sense, there's so many other ways to look at that, but there are so many other people who not only believe what he says, but they have that same mindset and carry that same. And so my thing is, what I really want people to understand is, yo, Martin Luther King did what he did because he got tired of seeing pain.
Right.
He got tired of seeing, instead of embracing that and becoming a villain, he said, instead of that, let's try to do away with it. Now, will we ever do that? I'm gonna be real with y'all. We humans. I doubt we'll ever truly achieve that. I'm just being honest. Because as long as we have people who say, hey, you know, we need to just build this and build that and do that and do that, then, I mean, what goal are we really accomplishing outside of, you know, I believe we're coming in an inverted Pharisee when we do that.
Right. Oh,
you know?
Easy. And that's like ignoring issues and trying to cover up issues, trying to distract issues.
And
Paul
rebuked Peter for that, bro.
He did.
Like
Right
he
in
rebuked
front
people
of
for that.
everybody.
You can't carry the gospel and think like that, bro.
But no, you can't. And I think that's part of the issue is that so many people got to a place where they accepted, you know, error without doing the research, without finding out. Just,
Right.
I think this is the danger of just believing one generation after another without saying, Daddy, I love you, but I got to check up on your stuff. I got to check up on where you come from. Just so everybody knows, we're on the phone with Slater Jarrell. We're actually on StreamYard. Slater Jarrell, he is one of the most amazing men of God that, you know, and when I say a man of God, he's a man of God, you know, in the sense of he's honest about his pursuit of God, even in your music. If I tried to sell y'all right now that he is like one of the disciples, he would rebuke me and say, Duke,
absolutely,
Duke,
don't put that on me.
Don't put that on me. but he's such an honest man about his journey, an honest man about overcoming. And while we're celebrating, you know, just the triumph, the progression, the sacrifice of what Martin Luther King did. And when I say sacrifice, I'm really talking about the risk that he took to stand up for people. Watch this. When I say people, not just black people, but to even give white people a chance to come out of fear.
Yeah.
You know, or to come out of ignorance or to come out of hate. You really open up a door for a lot of us to just give each other a chance.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I wanted to have you on is because you have that overcoming spirit. I could see you in the marches singing "We Shall Overcome." I could see it. I mean, I'm telling you, I could see it. And also, you being a musician, I can't think about that time without thinking about music. But the message videos that you put on Facebook, if you guys want to see some of his stuff, you got to go to his Facebook page, which is Slater Jarrell. But I can tell you really think about how you feel and what's happening to you. Now I want to say this, and I want to let you run with this because I need to know that so many men are told. I think this is why we don't see Martin Luther Kings anymore and stuff like that. So many men are told that we're not masculine or whatever if we share our feelings, if we talk about our feelings, if we cry, like we supposed to just take everything. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I'll absolutely talk about that. Let me tell you why I've always been against that. Growing up in not the best neighborhoods, growing up in not the ideal home situation. Yes, I had both of my parents, but make no mistake about it, we struggled. We struggled bad. Just struggled. There's no other word for it. And what happens is, as I grew up and I allowed that mentality to overtake me, I saw it turning me into such a toxic person. I was doing things to people that they didn't deserve. I was making things happen that I had no business making happen. But I realized that I wasn't even that person. But it was the hurt and the anger that made me act out that way. So the first thing I had to ask myself is, hold on. You love the Lord. You want to be everything God called you to be, but you can't be that and a villain. Which is, again, why I bring up Bane. We all have that in us. You can act like you an angel all you want to. All of us have the proclivity of one day just saying, screw this, I'm going to be the villain. The way you hurt me, I'm going to hurt you back.
Yeah.
But we have to make up in our minds, are we that person? And I'm telling you now, I have too much conviction. I have too much integrity. I have too much character to be that person. And so what I had to end up doing to not become that person is start checking myself. Why do you feel that way? You don't feel that way because you're angry. You feel that way because you're hurt. You feel that way because that did something to you that's never been done to you before. And that's what you need to address. I was doing, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I was doing that to people who didn't even mean to hurt me. I was hurting people who had no idea they had even hurt me. I was hurting people who had no idea that I even felt the way I felt. But because I was offended, I took it into my own hands.
Wow.
That word came up. That word, John Bevere's, Beta Satan is. I don't know if you ever read it, but that thing talks about how dangerous offense really is.
Yeah.
And you had a woundedness with a offense and trying to protect yourself at the same time.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with. And even though we're talking about our personal hurts and struggles, even still, it's like the opportunity. I wonder the opportunity to just say, especially as a black man, to say, you know what, I'm never going to trust white people. You know what I mean? To just shut everything out, shut opportunity for unity out. Because the same thing we experience personally, we can experience as a people.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to racism, especially because what's interesting to me is this man thing, though. Worldwide, they or especially nationwide, it's not okay for men to be in tune with themselves and put things in perspective.
Because I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why this is such a... And before we can even get to white people, let's address this. There's not even a safe place in our own community to be that. So how the heck do we expect to be that in another community? Like, we don't even trust each other. It bothers me sometimes because I would lie to y'all and tell y'all if I want in certain parts of the hood that I ain't trying to get up out of there real fast if I see something crazy. I ain't gonna say a lie to you if I'm not in certain parts of our area and I see somebody walking up on me fast with a hood on, I don't even flinch sometimes. So please, let's not, before we can even get to that, let's talk about what's real us.
Yeah, because the truth is
there's not a safe enough place where we even feel vulnerable. Do you feel vulnerable enough to call your homeboy? And I ain't talking about that surface stuff. No, tell him like your deep insecurities. I was with a girl last night and you know what I'm saying? Man, I couldn't even be real with her because all I could think about was, let's say something simple like my hygiene.
Right.
I got this issue. I don't know where it comes from, but when I sweat, I get musty, and when I get musty, I stink. And so the whole night I'm just trying to, just using something simple.
Yeah.
Does somebody feel safe enough to bring that to you, and you say, "Hey, bro, we're gonna figure this out"?
Do you know that that's a trend on TikTok right now, where people are? This girl made a TikTok video, and she said, "Where do you go to share your deepest, darkest secret?"
Yeah.
And all these dudes started answering like, "I'm a man, nobody cares." Like, she collected all the videos of how many men put up there that nobody cares because I'm a man. Like, all that connection to, when a woman goes through something, she can call her friend, mom, and they can cry and eat some ice cream, cry together, whatever. But men, a lot of times we're taught to hold the stuff in. What really scares me is how truthful what you just said was about how as black men, we don't feel safe even in our own communities. And I wonder if it's because I believe personally, and this is going to make a lot of make sure I'm saying this, not Slater, but it seems like what happened was in the 90s when the hip hop culture came out, that identity was given to the modern black man or the black teenager, or like everybody became Ice Cube from Boys in the Hood. Everybody, not that they actually acted that way, but the way we were perceived and the way we were perceiving each other. We were no longer seeing ourselves as future Martin Luther Kings and Malcolm X's and things like that. We started seeing ourselves as like, if hip hop was the sound of the hood, then that identity was given to everyone that was black because that was the newest black thing that we were proud of. You see what I'm saying? And so that identity, now you had kids in black kids in the suburbs, black kids in wealth. Everybody started becoming that. And now it became to a point where you don't know who to identify as actually what you would consider a dangerous person anymore. You know what I mean? Because before, if everybody walking around looking like pirates, you don't know who the pirates are.
Well, I'm gonna take it past hip hop because I gotta go a little further than just hip hop because As a musician, I protect all my communities when it comes to music. However, let's talk about the root of this stuff. I don't want to put it on music more than I want to put it on what that music pushed. And that had nothing to do with hip hop, and that is drugs.
And police brutality, yeah.
And police brutality. So when it comes to drugs, which caused the police brutality, because they had to have a reason.
Which caused the sound. Yep.
Come on. So let's go there. Because here's my issue. That's what we do in society a lot. We bring up symptoms, but we don't bring up the root.
Right.
See, doctors will prescribe you medicine for a symptom to keep taking your money.
I love it.
Instead of just telling you, hey man, if you stop eating salt, dummy, your blood pressure will go down.
I feel like that came from the Lord. but here's the thing.
Push his thing down there. Can't hear.
Oh, okay, there you go. Oh, so here's the thing. When you look at what everything you just said,
I just want to say to the listeners, sorry you guys, there was a technical difficulty. Hopefully you can hear.
Oh yeah, make sure you can go back to the stream. Make sure you go to the StreamYard. You can check it right out. You know what I mean? But what the thing is that I look at it like if the sound came, like you said, the sound came from a root, and that root was still very much what was going on in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah,
that root was still. It's just that I do know that when the sound of unity and we shall overcome, that sound was beautiful.
Yeah,
this sound was coming from a place where it was like, hey, everything's not okay.
It was what I just said about the Bane.
It's still going on.
I'm gonna call this the Bane factor.
Yeah.
That's what we gonna It's the Bane factor. One generation said, hey y'all, this sucks, but we're gonna get through it. While another generation says, we're ticked off and we ain't gonna take it no more.
Right. Same plug, same connection.
Yeah, same stance. Because overcoming didn't mean we were going to take it. Overcoming meant we were going to conquer it too. Right. So we shall overcome didn't mean we were going to just kumbaya.
It's because the song is gentle. But you got to listen to the words. Yeah. We gonna overcome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And this is where I think that, we can't compartmentalize reality. We always gotta say, how did this action affect these people over here? How did this decision? Because everything matters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you, especially when you have brothers and sisters, everything you do matter. You know what I mean? I don't know if you know about leaving the last little bit. How many brothers and sisters you got?
I have one brother and 2 sisters.
So y'all, when you got one can of Tropicana, it's easy to go, man. It's easy for that to be gone in like a couple hours. And
yeah.
you're like, I ain't get a sip. This is an injustice. You know what I mean? You scared to have kids now because
right.
I would never do that. They don't want brothers and sisters,
Or I've never been heard, So when I grow up, I out talk everybody else because nobody ever listened to me as a kid. All these little things are rooted in something, bro.
Yeah, and no, I was just saying this Bane factor is so real because see, you messed me up when we gonna have to talk over here because the truth is with this Bane factor, it's hard to call him a bad guy. I can say villain, but not a bad guy.
That's what I'm saying, bro. He needed a hug. That's all. Like again, he didn't have
it's not even a joke.
No,
you didn't put a run to him.
No, because hear me clearly. We just talked about it. Man, he didn't have a safe space. He said he was born in the dark. What's safe about the dark when you were a kid? You're left to nothing in the dark but your imagination. That's what used to scare us about the dark. Think about it. The dark don't scare you. It's your mind. It's what happens in your mind when darkness is around. When you hear that sound and you don't know where it came from. When you see that flash go across the wall and you didn't realize it was just headlights. Come on, bruh. It's the imagination that takes us to these deeper places than just darkness. Because just darkness ain't bad at all.
No, it's not. And I think this is the part where, true followers of the Messiah, have to deal with this fact that it's like balance you have to admit the church, politicians, we call ourselves the greatest country in the world, but it's like, you know what? We have not been balanced well at all.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We love the surface stuff. I mean, we know how to perform as a country. You know, the biggest racists, you know, they know how to not look racist.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Good at it too.
Yeah, they're good at it. You know, I tell people all the time, you're like, you think drug dealers live in the hood? That's always been funny to me, because the real drug dealers, they living in the rich neighborhood.
They neighbors with Robert De Niro.
You actually think the drug dealers live in the hood? You know what I mean? Like, no, there's drug dealers in the hood, but the one that's running things, he live beside you, Mr. Senator. He live beside you, Governor. You know what I mean? He's catering your parties, as a matter of fact.
Hello.
You know what I mean? So, and I think this is the reality that the Messiah called us out on. And then we got a little reminder of that with leaders like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. You know what I mean? We're in this time of oppression. Because don't forget, the Jewish people were oppressed too.
Yeah.
So the disciples themselves could say that they were born in darkness like Bane.
Right.
Really, Israel could even have been seen 400 years, brother. 400 years of oppression, of Roman oppression. You could, and even to say, can anything good come from Nazareth?
Come on. It was the ghetto.
You know, and so realistically, this is why I can't agree with the concept of just throwing my hands up and saying, well, I might as well do me because it's never going to get better. Because the evidence is, the one thing that has been consistent is that things have been getting better. Not easier, but better. Our voices are being heard.
Let's say it like this for those who can't rest with that word better.
Yeah.
Things have changed. Let's say change.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what, and I believe Martin Luther King and even modern day revolutionists, I believe that word is the word they go after more than anything. And that word is change. Because your definition of better might not necessarily be my definition.
Yeah.
There are Black people who really believe we thrive better in segregation. And you're not going to change that opinion.
Right.
So I think at the end of the day, we aren't striving for necessarily better, but we're striving for change. Because here's the danger of better. Better for some people is more drugs in the community.
Right.
I'm serious. You got people who get like and I didn't respond, but I saw somebody put it on Facebook one time, and I guess some guy got arrested or whatever, and they were like, man, he's a good guy, he does this and that, man, y'all hurting families, man, y'all hurting families. And all I could say was, wow, like I get what y'all are saying, because he provided for the hood, but how he provided for the hood, that's not a dope situation. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, yeah, Al Capone gave out turkeys on Thanksgiving, but look at what Al Capone did.
Exactly.
Just because you giving out boxes of food and feeding families, look at what you did to do that.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and I think this is where consistency of character has to be considered. We're so used to brokenness. In one sense, it's honest, because we all have those same parts that you talked about, that Bane part. And if that part gets out, you know what I mean? And I think this is the part where we need God, we need the Spirit of God to keep us, to keep that flesh down, to keep that, keep us reminded. So even when we fail, we're still in Him. You know what I mean? Even when we fall short, we're still in Him. But I honestly say that I think we need to do more time, even before we speak about other people's situations, other racist situations and perspective. We need to spend some time teaching ourselves how to see things from their perspective for a little while. You know what I mean? Like what you did with Bane. If the movie's called Batman and Batman is clearly the good guy, the only thing you're supposed to respect and appreciate is what Batman says and what Batman does.
Well, you don't even want to hear my sermon on all superheroes, because all superheroes have some things about them too.
Dude, We got to do that show.
So that's a whole nother show, though. That's a whole nother show.
Well, look, we're out of time, man. I thank you so much. Well, actually, hold on. We can stay on the StreamYard. I got to let the radio audience go. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. You guys make sure you support Current FM because this station really does live off of donations, and so
definitely listener supported.
Yeah,
John will be in it too. I'll be back at 7.
All right, so
listen to the best music in the whole area.
You got it, man. So we love you guys. Be good.
1.5 FM.
All right, so we are back with Slater Joe on the YouTube, StreamYard, Facebook, Savior Connect. Now, I definitely want to do that show with you on the comic books. I can't wait to do that. The superheroes. But what I wanted to ask you is just that, do you think that, like I say, take the black, white, and the man-woman situation, it's all the same. Us stepping outside of ourselves for a second and stepping into someone else's shoes. Do you think that us practicing to do that could possibly give each other a better understanding of each other?
Absolutely. But my question is, here's what I've learned. Is it realistic for us as a community to do that? No, it's not realistic. So it's going to take one or two people like us, I guess, to have that conversation, to care enough to have that conversation, because I do care. And I believe Martin Luther King cared. Martin Luther King wasn't just intelligent. That's what made him different. He wasn't just intelligent about black issues. He was intelligent about financial literacy, the way white people gained wealth, the way white people built this country. He was literally fluent in all languages of advancement. All he was trying to do was make the playing field even. Yeah. And so with that being said, when it comes to that, I believe it's going to take somebody like that to really pay attention to both sides, to even bring it back to a community to say, this is how you even the playing field.
I think it's about, because you have to first rise above defeat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And victimization.
And victimization, yeah. Because I'm going to be honest, I've been telling everybody this since I've been doing radio, and I told you personally on the photos, like my greatest fear in life itself is losing, like, my mom, right? Because I love my mom. She's my number one fan. You know what I mean? She'll fight Crystal if she has to. You know what I'm saying?
I'm so weak.
Like my mom was she's like a little old lady, but then when it come to her baby, she will lock and load, boy. You know what I mean? She'll come to court and put them crocodile tears out. Go to court.
He is not kidding. He is spoiled rotten.
Right.
Go on and put him out there. Go and put him on blast like that.
Right. Mama's boy 100%. And that is like a huge, huge fear of mine. And here's the thing that I look at my brothers who have experienced that loss, experienced the loss of mom and grandma. I remember the loss of my grandmother, but I was able to bounce back because I was able to have my mom, and so I think to myself, this is where that selfishness comes in. I've actually said this before like an idiot because I was so scared that I actually told my mother that I was like, man, I hope I go before you.
Oh, wow.
But it's just because I just want to avoid the pain, right? But it's like, did you really just say that when your mother's already lost a child? You just said that you could, I'd rather you go through it again, you know what I mean, than me. And that's such a terrible thing. But I remember saying that she said, and you know what she always say? Boy, you got kids. You can't think like that. You got kids. Because it's like, she said, it's so not about you. The pain is that real, but it's so not about you that you need to really fix that. And when I think about my brothers who've experienced it, like you've experienced that loss, you know what I mean? I think about how I compare that to how offensive it must be, or how offensive it could be, or it is for those who survived the civil rights movement, and they're watching this young generation, we call it express themselves differently, whatever. And I'm not just talking about through the arts, but some people are just giving into the defeat.
Nah, I feel you. Absolutely.
They're
Absolutely.
giving into the defeat, because I couldn't imagine being 90 years old right now, watching what's happening to the black community, to white people, just saying, well, then what was it all for?
Yeah.
So could you talk about that a little bit, about like, because you did something, you like when you put out there your hurt and how it affected you. I believe that was the game changer, man.
Gotcha.
I believe that was the game changer. How do you overcome that defeat, man?
Well, you gotta want to. That's the first thing. I mean, I'm not deep at all, bro. Like, you gotta want to. And I ain't talking about in your head. You gotta make up in your mind, I'm going to. Like, I can say all day right now, you know how many weeks I've been saying I want to go back to the gym. Ask me, have I moved one time yet? It's not until you make up in your mind that this will not control me. And what the problem has become is we've become drunk in defeat. We're not sober-minded in defeat.
Wow.
And so what happens is you gotta become intoxicated. And you have to really dig deep and ask yourself, is this what it's supposed to be? And I'll be honest with you, bro. Two things counselors have asked me, because I've gone through therapy. I recommend it for everybody. If you ain't comfortable talking to your homeboy,
that's not something that rich people do or white people do.
Talk to a complete stranger. You know what I'm saying? If you scared or don't want to talk to somebody talk to somebody who you don't know. Tell them all about your trouble. So I'm so weak. I heard what you said too, but no. At the end of the day, talk to somebody, because it will really, really help you really filter through some of the stuff that you got going on. Because if you try to do it by yourself, then you'll definitely have a harder time, because what's in front of you is the trauma. What's in front of you is the hopelessness. What's in front of you is what you can't do anymore, or how it's not going to be the same anymore.
Right.
And I think what ends up happening is we accept that. And I'm here to tell you, you gotta put this in a compartment as you do other. It's certain stuff you're not going to accept. So you'll tell me you too good to work for Walmart, but you won't tell me you too good to worry about your mental health.
All right. Ooh.
So you mean to tell me you're too good to sweep floors and mop floors, but you're not too good to worry about.
I really appreciate you bringing that up, because that's something that white, black, whatever, I really don't care, but we've got to get our brothers and sisters back, like, to take mental health seriously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm even saying pre-mental health, because obviously the food and stuff like that is messing with our minds. All of us. This is on a human level. I think if this was as big of an issue as it was today as it was back then, I think Martin Luther King would be talking about this as well, warning everyone to stay away from these foods and this and that was doing it. But it's just back then everybody had some kind of fruit plant or something, a garden in the backyard.
But that's what I was about to say. Back then, my granddaddy raised hogs. So we had good
on.
My grandma ate bacon to the day she died. She died at 93 years old, sir. 93.
I get it.
And you got cats eating burgers and fries because it's processed meat and they can't live past 40.
That's preaching right now.
So sometimes it ain't even about what you do, it's how you do it.
Right. And that's what I'm saying, is that we, in our progression as a culture, we have lost something.
We lost a lot, bro.
I don't know. I remember one person had an apple tree, another person had a peach tree, and then so it caused a commune to happen. It caused a communion to happen because we traded and somebody bringing over. I would run when I would see somebody bring over the cabbage and the lettuce and all that stuff. Because I was like, man, let me get out of the house before they make me do some work. But
because you gotta cut that stuff.
You gotta tell, like, oh my gosh, But this is what I'm talking about, is that there was a time where we were so close to unity, But then I think that mindset began to get televised, or through the defeat began to get promoted more than the victories.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I'm saying is that I'll never forget when Stomp came out, and Kurt Franklin Stomp, and I watched the church, you know, just come after this brother.
Oh yeah, they crucified.
Oh, it was brutal. And it was so devastating because it took my mind off of, you know, the division in the church, and it took my mind. And I'm thinking, hey, we're dealing with this right now. You guys are willing to wage a war against this, you know, and like, burning CDs and all. It was terrible. And I'm going, how did we get so easily distracted? Well, now we're in 2021, and that brother is still going.
Yeah.
Kurt is still going.
Because while you got distracted, he remained focused.
Right.
And that's the problem. And why do you think, oh boy, as much as I'm on it, why do you think Facebook, Instagram, all of these things were developed? They were developed to distract you. They were developed to keep you bogged down. And I love it. You know, I appreciate what it does for me. It gives all of us a platform, but the bad news, it gives all of us a platform.
Same exact thing. Yeah, not even a joke.
So that's the good news and the bad news. Everybody has a platform. And because everybody has a platform, there are people who do bring a lot of attention to majoring in the minors.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't believe this, and that happened. And now you have a million people who can't believe it either. While on this side, a whole another situation that's going to affect you for the next 10 years is about to go down.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, it's funny because, like, don't forget, I always find myself in some kind of trouble on Facebook. You know, I always got something crazy to say. I found out people say, Duke, I see your
Duke, y'all, and I'm going to say it publicly. Duke is the bane of my existence. Like, I literally, there are times I literally want to choke Duke. Like, I really do. Like, because it's just like, bruh, shut up.
Yes.
There's some fires you do not have to ignite. And I love him, but I'm saying this publicly because I say it to him privately too.
Yes.
Like,
it is true.
Like I love him.
I get so many messages like
he's the Kanye of my life. Let me stop.
I say that. Boy, you just took it. I actually said, I'm the Kanye of Christianity.
Yo,
you never know.
He's the Antonio Brown of my life, yo.
How many times I called you Kanye?
Kanye, yeah.
I have to be Tom Brady to him every time. He's the Antonio Brown
it's
of
so
my
rough.
life.
It's so rough because it's like, man, it sounds so good in my head. And then as soon as you type it, was like, hey, man, I think that might have been just for me. I wasn't supposed to say that. You know what I mean? I wasn't supposed to say that.
So funny.
You know, but I think the reason why is that it happens, though, even with a Kanye, I think what happens is there's such a desperation. We know that truth is the movement, and with you watch people afraid to tell the truth so long that it's like, come on, y'all, let's just jump out there. Next thing you know, you jump out there and you didn't say something that ain't even true, but you meant well.
yeah, and that's the thing. But that's the problem. The meaning well,
it don't work.
Nothing when the delivery was horrible.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And you will spend a lifetime doing 99 things and trying to clean up that one bad thing.
Yeah, and I'm telling you that I'll never forget. It happened a couple months ago. The worst thing that ever happened to me was that I put out false information about something, thinking it was true. Oh,
yeah,
it was a horrible moment. But I had to come back and say, everybody, this was not real. But here's what God showed me, though. What God showed me was that just because this is an isolated situation that happened with you and whoever, he said, you got to look at the fact that you guys do this with celebrities all the time. Keep the celebrities out of your mouth as well. Just because you didn't know this person, you don't have a problem putting people's names out there. Oh, what is it, Cardi B? All like actually degrading people, not just putting their name out, but degrading people because they're celebrities, even if they're what they represent is sin and doesn't represent God.
Yeah.
It's still like that's their testimony.
Yeah.
We don't know when God's gonna come in.
I was about to say, I say that.
Gossiping about people.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. Like, and I see it all the time, and especially, even men are doing it, and in the church, like
she said,
Christians,
men are doing it,
but women just constantly talking about each other behind their backs, and we should know that if somebody is going to come to you and put down other people and constantly talk about somebody, then they're going to do it to
you at some point, absolutely.
Right, and they're going to do it about you to someone else, and you can't trust anybody that's going to come to you and constantly talk about other people. They're talking about you also.
Yeah.
And you can't trust them.
Yeah.
You just can't.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how you look at it, but if there's a gossip magazine, bro.
Yeah.
Like these are distractions, like you said, these are the traps. And I like the idea of standing before God. You're like, I did good, right, Lord? He's like, nah, man, you talked about Will Smith, you talked about this person, and I told you I hate gossip. It's like, what if he was to call us to that?
Yeah. And I think it's crazy you say that too, because I wanted to back up to something you said at first. Yes, we identify stuff as sin, but that's the believer. And we have to come into the true consideration and truth. Since we're talking truth, everybody is not a believer. And you cannot hold people to believer standards who are not believers. And so we're making ourselves look stupid,
frustrated, and disappointed
because we're trying to bash somebody who doesn't even claim the same stuff you claim.
Right.
And it's like what's your real point? What's your real point? But we'll cover our own. Did I just say that?
So we'll dog out sinners, we'll dog out people that don't believe what we believe in the first place, and then won't even back up and support our own when their humanity shows up that we clearly know exists.
Absolutely. Or vice versa.
But you know what? Because we've practiced slaughtering people for so long.
Or vice versa. We cover them without addressing them.
Ooh.
As a believer, it is your job to call out a believer.
Oh, you just made Crystal real happy.
But it is also your job to do it in a way where you can also build them back up too.
Right.
But to not address it at all, you're still doing a disjustice and a disservice to the walk you claim to have.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. You're not set out to condemn someone.
Yeah.
But we are supposed to acknowledge things that are wrong.
Yeah.
That's what we're required to do. That we can't just sweep everything under the rug. We're to be peacemakers, not peacekeepers.
Yeah.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
And I ain't calling no names because I'm not a controversial person. I try not to be that. If I have to address something, I will. But I ain't gonna call no names. But I'm saying, I don't care how good you preach. If every time I turn around you in a scandal with a woman, I got to address that.
Right.
I don't care how many members and followers you have. If you have a wife at home and you keep getting caught up in stuff that ain't got nothing to do with your wife, I have to address that. I cannot act like that did not happen.
Right.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is because when I think about the amount of people, especially now in social media, that hush days, you can forget about.
Oh yeah, you can forget about that.
Yeah, so everything's coming out, and I think about the people watching, and I look at comments when people watch it, and they say, this is what men of God do, this is what they do, and I'm like, man, if you would just read the Bible, you would see. Now, this is not a justification. You would just see God has always been dealing with this with his people.
Yeah.
From David's situation, his own, and this is why I think the problem, when I talked about correction earlier, I think the problem is simply this, right? We promoted an exaggerated version of our Christian heroes, right? And we didn't tell we told the story about David and Goliath in Sunday school and everything like that, but we didn't tell the story about David having a man killed to cover up that he slept with his wife. So we never promoted to the world the balance, the humanity.
And all of that stuff is in the Bible.
And that's
it's all in there. Noah's drunkenness was in the Bible.
And now we got
Abraham's lying was in the Bible.
Right. And now we got an avalanche of people's doubt because we never presented the whole story.
Yeah.
And so now, and then then all you got to do is add to that. When people found out that they were playing around with the word and taking stuff out and adding stuff, it's like, I'll figure it out on myself. And people don't know how scary figuring out on yourself is, because they say don't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we've done, why we won't get in the word.
Yeah.
When I got with Chris, I told her, I said, if you want to know why, if you want to understand me better, get in your word more. You'll understand me better. Because what you'll see is not only who I am, but how God deals with my brokenness, how God deals with my hurt, how God, you see what I'm saying? You'll see, it's like, oh, okay. It's like, he ain't crazy. I mean, he crazy, but he ain't all the way crazy. He's crazy without God, put it that way. That's what he struggles with, is, because it's like, you don't get to be John the Baptist for God and then still be John the Baptist that kind of do what he wants. That's when people are like, nah, that's too much crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We need you to be consistent. If you be crazy on one side.
Right.
And I think that's the problem with, we don't want to admit, I believe the American church don't want to admit it's the lukewarm church.
Right.
That's a whole nother story. Good gracious.
Yeah. We got to choose a side. We got to, you got to choose. Are we gonna be hot or cold? But man, I don't want to take up no more of your time. Thank you so much. You owe me the superhero conversation.
Okay,
we gonna do that. I want to sit back and let you just.
Let's do it. Let's go. Let's for real. Like, I want you to.
I'm not playing.
You come up with a couple. I'll come up with a couple. I want to ask y'all: is Wolverine really a hero? And we'll go. And we'll just. Because Wolverine never wanted to be an X-Men. And I'll leave that alone. But y'all calling some people heroes that never even claimed to be heroes. But anyway,
do you know I had this conversation last week? This weekend. It was this weekend. Oh, it's coming. We got to do it.
It's going to be a good conversation. Anyway.
All right, man. Love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
Oh, wow. That was Slater Joe. God bless you guys. We're out of here. We got to get going. We are dropping off a ton of food to a church, and we're so excited. We're going to Freedom Fellowship. If you need food,
lots of food. Yes,
we're bringing a ton of food, so canned goods, all that stuff, to Freedom Fellowship on Lasky Road. If you want to look up the website, it's comegetfree.org. That's www.comegetfree.org.
And then we're also going to be taking this week some shirts and hoodies and stuff to Pin Ministry. That's PIN ministry.org if you want to check that out. Also, if you want to donate before we go and take them in this week, to make sure as many people as possible have something warm and can wear their faith, let us know. Come to the kiosk. You can call us at 844.
1-844-937.
I keep on always want to say 866-844-937-4821. Or just send us a message on the Coming to Jesus T-shirts Facebook page. But if you purchase the hoodie, it's $35, and you can tell us a color, or just tell us to pick one off the kiosk. We put it in this basket that we have that goes right to Penn, and then the money that you donate also goes back into ministry in many different ways. So you help out a lot with that. So see if, pray about it. And then also there are awesome hoodies, Coming to Jesus hoodies. So you could get one for the homeless and get one for yourself.
All right. Well, we love you guys. Be good.